You're now listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching rom-comedies for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Corey Cavan.
I'm Kevin.
My name is John.
I'm going to be like Cher.
Dude, you're going to Cher. Whatever.
As if.
Dude, Cher rips. I'm loving this movie. Can't wait to see how it ends.
I know. Today we finished Clueless.
She's so hot.
Today we finished Clueless. She's so hot is she's all that. She's so hot.
I
it's
loved
not the
Rachel Lee
movie.
Cook too. These are all the girls I fell in love with. The most.
You need to have a side podcast just called Kevin Reminisces.
Yeah, it's
over.
like everything. Like it was Kristen Davis.
Kristen Davis was new, but she reminds me of. So I like cute 90s girls.
We saw Batman recently, and when Zoe Kravitz came on screen, you just turned to me in the theater and you go, "She's so hot."
She is.
You kind of sound like a high school girl when you say it. Like the way you say it, you're like, "She's so hot."
She's so hot.
Just a little vocal fry.
She's so hot.
Well, she is.
She
still is. I'm looking at her Instagram now.
Yeah, tell what's on her Instagram.
Yeah.
She has her podcast.
She has a podcast?
Dude, she's totally fucking copying off us. Listen to this.
The Real Heal, my podcast, which is about
We've had a podcast for years, Alicia. It's called The Real Heal.
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew this, but
to heal our communities, ourselves,
I like
and our planet. I'm really happy about it, and I hope that you will listen.
Dude,
yeah,
we're
this
totally
just
gonna
in.
listen.
If you have a podcast, you're copying us
Yeah,
straight
exactly.
up. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
We're the only ones allowed to have podcasts.
Yeah, come on, listen up, Mark Maron.
Yeah.
Come on. Listen up.
Daniel Barbaro.
Come on, Brené Brown. Everybody, sit down.
I want to
Sit
see
down,
how many
Brown.
reviews. How many reviews do you think The Real Heal has?
The Real Heal.
I'll look it up. You go, Corey. I want to look up how.
All right. Well, one thing, we are there's a couple articles out there.
Let's not
about
shit talk The
Clueless.
Real Heal. Let's just get her on the pod.
I'm not shit talking it.
Well, what you're doing right now is you're trying to look up how many reviews she has to see if we have more to make yourself feel better.
No, I don't. She has 2 million Instagram followers, and she's a Hollywood icon. She's gonna be fine.
Yeah, but you're Kevin Doyle.
I want to know I want to see what her podcast is about. I'm not making fun of it.
You better not, because I subscribe.
Okay.
I'm a Real Heal patron.
So there's a couple things. There's a couple things that happen.
I thought it was a podcast about heels and wrestling, though, like the bad guys. And
Hi,
I'm
this is The Real Heal, where I'm going to talk about some of the best bad guys in professional wrestling.
That's what I thought it was. I want my money back.
It's that and shoes.
Today we talk about Kane. Is he a heel or is he a hero? Was Kane a heel or hero?
Dude, I have a check from Kane in my office because he is the mayor or governor of a city.
Yeah, he is, I believe.
That now licensed the
Tennessee?
curriculum that I sell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look at that. All right. I'm not going to read off all the ones from this article about Clueless. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of articles that say, like, did it hold up? Or what are the things we noticed? I'm not going to read off some because it will spoil a few things that we haven't seen yet since we're finishing Clueless today.
Okay.
And I've already seen Clueless, so it's not a
Don't
spoiler for me.
spoil.
Okay, the first one, which I really like, it says, this is from The List.
Ooh.
The List. I'm guessing it's thelist.com. It's more empowering than you'd think.
Okay.
It says, surprise, even though Cher, a stereotypically teenage girl who's obsessed with shopping and makeovers, Clueless passes the Bechdel test with flying colors. That is true. There's definitely, I mean, it's, in a lot of ways,
We've talked about the Bechdel test before, but refresh us as to what the Bechdel test is.
the Bechdel test is female characters having a conversation on screen that doesn't have to do with other men in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there are tons of conversations about like the social structures at school. I think there's conversation in the first part about fashion and just like what they can do to make over Ty. There's conversations
that comes from Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, it's Kate Beckinsale.
Underworld movies.
Yeah, and it came because her and Pete Davidson were talking about women in movies.
Yeah.
And he was like, every time I'm with you, I talk about women in movies. And she was like, that's my test. You passed.
You passed.
And you know, Kate Beckinsdale
Uh-huh.
is very hot. And that's what I thought when I watched Serendipity.
There you go.
But yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It totally does.
And I think in general, it's like I guess it's an adaptation of Emma, but it's also kind of a satire of. It seems like it's like a satire of a lot of things, a lot of high school things, where like you would think Cher is supposed to be like dumb and ditzy, and they play her like that, but she's actually very.
She's super smart.
I mean, the whole first scene is about her like getting her grades redone through the powers of persuasion.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
She
That's
brings
real
up
life skills.
she brings up like a good. She went in her debate class. She does a speech on violence, which is really good. She also remembers like Hamlet, the characters from Hamlet, really well. So I'm impressed with Cher as a character.
What does this one say?
This next one, it just says, another thing we noticed: Cher and Dee's driving is actually really dangerous. When she runs over a hydrant. Yeah,
If I had
it's pretty bad.
If I had
she
to-
only has a permit.
I'm not saying my life is any better, but I like my life.
Right.
If I had to go on the list and write articles like that, I'd fucking kill myself. One thing I noticed is that the writing in this the driving in this broad comedy is actually very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what a
Did you guys see the video that came out this week of the Tesla that like drives up a big hill and then like
yeah.
No.
it like
Oh,
flew
we'll show you.
like
It's
10
crazy.
feet in the air and then came down and hit a bunch of cars.
Wow. Did
It
people
was
die?
probably Cher driving that
Probably
Tesla.
was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
actually really dangerous. Okay,
Yep.
here's another great one from the article. The teaching profession is not respected.
Gosh, who? Don't say the name,
I'm
but
not
we got to
gonna-
see who else. What this writer writes. This is such phone it
The
in.
teaching profession is not well respected throughout the film. For one, Cher is constantly arguing with her teachers to get her grades changed, which professors really don't like, as it's an attempt to undermine their authority. Okay, I feel like we got to
See,
get
you know what's
article.
interesting about these articles too, is that a lot of times you'll notice all of the stuff is from the first few scenes. So they just watch the
Oh,
first 10
interesting.
minutes.
That's
true.
So it's like that's the first scene. It's like, okay, here's this. The driving is from the first
Yes, that's
5
true.
minutes.
Dude, all this stuff
Find that
is just
person's
like-
name and let's email them.
It's
Say
just
do
like an
better at your
algorithm.
job.
It's like you need to find 13 things. It needs to be this many words. The
Yeah.
title needs to be 17 characters. It's just like
Yeah.
All right,
all
we're
the
going to go to
stuff.
this other article on Vulture that says Clueless is a great teen movie. It's also a satire about the white and wealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this movie has more diversity than a lot of movies in the past 20 years do, though.
Especially about high school kids, because I feel like there were a lot of, there were a lot of high school kid movies in the 90s that were definitely, well, I guess it was always like white high school kids and like one non-white friend. But I would say this one definitely has more diversity.
totally.
Yeah.
For a movie in 1995,
Yeah, true.
it's insane that you don't really have to even think about it.
It's got Paul Rudd and Breckenmeyer.
Yeah,
one.
that's crazy. It's got Wallace Shawn. There's bald people.
There's bald people.
There's blonde hair, brown hair. They're brunettes.
Yeah.
Um,
Redhead?
it is-
Ty's a redhead?
it is funny that their black female character ended up being like a Fox News spokesman for like 10 years.
As well, they're like, yeah,
That's their diversity.
Hey, listen, people can think what they want.
But yeah, I mean, I think also that's what we talked about with Amy Heckerling in the beginning, that it's like she knew she had to make a sympathetic character. So you
Yeah.
can't. I think there's something really smart to that actually, because some people she's not just upending expectations. It's like how bad, like most people are not that good at writing and making movies. That's why most movies aren't good, or most TV shows aren't good. But Amy Heckerling is one of the like pretty great ones, and you realize your character has to be likable, and
Yeah.
you have to listen to them and trust them and let them lead you through that world. And if you lose that trust, then ultimately you're going to be bored within like 5 seconds.
See, I lost that trust when I saw her driving the first time.
It was actually really dangerous.
I immediately was like, she does not respect her teachers, and she drove over a fire hydrant. She is an unreliable narrator, and I do not want to watch this.
Unacceptable.
Absolutely unacceptable. No, this movie rips.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, with the diversity thing you were saying, that there's a part in this Vulture article. I mean, we're totally skimming it, but it says It's not aggressive. It's the Vulture article says Clueless is not an aggressively progressive movie, but it did take some steps in the right direction for its first time by focusing on teens that are gay as well as straight and black as well as white, something that was astonishingly rare at the time. So yeah, like you said, like it's definitely focusing on like a different.
What were some other like teen movies that existed in the mid 90s?
Had I Know What You Did Last Summer come out at that point? Scream.
I was like,
was one.
that was later. That would have been like 97.
Scream had to be earlier than mid 90s, right?
Scream was like
Later.
dead mid 90s, wasn't it?
I would say 97. My guess is for Scream. I would say, well, the movie she did.
There's no diversity in Scream.
No, there's not.
You don't know who was under that mask the whole time, though.
Yeah, you do. It was what's his name? Chip Wigston or whatever. It was Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
And Skeet Ulrich. Can't Hardly Wait is after this.
Yeah,
and not
Can't
as
Hardly Wait's
good.
after
She's
this.
All Day. That is after this.
Original Scream 96.
96.
So right
right after.
summer after this.
The movie where the girl that Amy Heckerling directed, where the girl gets out of the pool naked, boobies. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
That was that was 80s.
Yeah.
That was like
But yeah, I mean, I feel like she was acquainted well enough with those that she even said, she's like, I don't want to do
Fast
another
Times at 82.
82?
Yeah. It's early. Yeah.
It's very early.
So she was like, I don't want to do another high school movie. And it's kind of, I think that's probably where it came from for her to be like, I'm going to upend expectations and not just do what I've already done, which is like, these people are dumb. These people are mean.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff is there and with just like a little twist. And I don't know, you can try and make something age better, but it just seems like usually when things age better, it's because there's like expertise from a director who's already had some films in the pocket and knows what they want to do that will give it deeper resonance.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at how well this aged. I've had several conversations outside the podcast where I've talking to friends and I'm like, we're watching Clueless. Have you seen it recently? And they're like in the last 10 years. And I'm like, that movie, it's really good so far. And everyone is like, yeah, it's
great.
There's a reason why it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It flew under the radar for me. It was never on my rewatch list. And it was never like, I would never viewed it as this like icon of a movie, and my opinion of it has completely changed after watching just the first two parts right now.
We're about to land the plane. Are you ready to land the plane?
Dude, call me fucking Sully. Let's go.
Bro. Get ready.
Drop that puppy right down to the Hudson, save all those lives, be a hero. Tom Hanks will play me in a movie.
Dude, I'll say this. For all those people's lives, they better be glad that Cher wasn't flying that plane, because her flying would be actually dangerous.
Yeah.
She would just like...
She'd run over a fire hydrant.
She'd run over fire hydrants with the plane. Absolutely. All right,
let's watch it.
Let's go.
Later,
Clueless Part
taters.
3.
Clueless. Directed by Amy Heckerling. Shallow, rich, and socially successful Cher, played by Alicia Silverstone, is at the top of her Beverly Hills school's pecking scale. Seeing herself as a matchmaker, Cher first coaxes two teachers into dating each other. Emboldened by her success, she decides to give hopelessly klutzy new student Ty, played by Brittany Murphy, a makeover. When Ty becomes more popular than she is, Cher realizes that her disapproving ex-stepbrother, played by Paul Rudd, was right about how misguided she was. And she falls for him. And now, back to the boys.
And we're back.
Wow.
I wanna
Clueless.
be a super mom.
We got it in the bag.
Oh man, so much to talk about.
Everyone.
First of all, I love that the maid tried to catch the bouquet there.
Yeah, she was just, they got all,
It
they
makes
were
sense
like,
because
it's
the
time
wedding
for
was
the,
at
the house.
at the house, but
You gotta
it was
get
jarring when you first saw it.
Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, the maid's at the wedding? I was like, I mean, listen, the thing I like about this movie is that it's pretty inclusive, not just of diversity, but it's just like it's a movie that like it shows how there's cliques in high school, but like Cher's kind of always bringing everybody together.
Yeah,
It's like get the maid in there to help catch.
Yeah, Cher is, you know, she has her flaws, but I think ultimately, if people were like had the outlook of the world of Cher,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'd be a better place.
I
Yeah,
agree.
If you're looking for a paralegal assistant to sort correct phone times,
Probably not the best.
maybe don't hire Cher. But if you're
Yeah.
looking to bring people together, if you're looking to heal the world, make it a better place for you and me and the entire human race,
Maybe share.
I would go Cher. 9
Cher
times out of 10.
Horowitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was it ended. It got in. It got out before I thought it would. It's
What do you
like
mean?
it's just
Like a
It's
quick
just
wrap
quick.
up. Once she realized, once she realized that she was in love with Josh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there could have been, and I'm not sure what the term is in a movie, but her dad could have walked in while they were kissing on the
Yeah.
stairs and
Yeah.
had like a mini some mini
Yeah.
conflict right there at the end where
Yeah.
she had to win him over, but they didn't.
I did think it was kind of cool that it's like it kind of is funny. It kind of makes fun of it, but it's also just like you think everything's going right and then everything is going wrong. And they're kind of trivial things, but if you don't pass your driver test in high school, that's not a trivial thing at the time.
No,
You know
that's
what I mean?
a huge thing.
Yeah.
In my driver's test, I did great, and then when I pulled back in, I was about to park, and I was like, "All right, I'll just park right here." And the guy was like, "I want to look where you're parking." And I was like, "What?" And I was about to park in a handicap space,
Ooh.
and then I just pulled to the next one and parked, and I was like, "Wow, what would happen?" He goes, "I would have failed you." And I was
Wow.
like, okay.
I didn't have to take the driver's test because we had to take driver's ed in high school, and I did really well in the high school class.
Wait, and so you didn't have to take the state license test?
No.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I just showed up and got my license.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to take a driver's test 2 years ago for my motorcycle, so I had to
Oh.
redo it, and just as nerve wracking.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
because
bet.
you had to do this one thing where you had to do like a figure 8 inside a box, and if you went outside the box,
Auto fail.
each time it was 2 points. So out of like the 9 things you had to do, but this one, the teacher was like, "You're definitely going to get 2 points here. Like barely anyone does it. But if you put your foot down, like automatic 8 points, and then you can't miss any points for anything else." And so, it was just like, he was like, "Remember, don't put one foot down." And I was like, so the more nervous you get, then the more you're like
Yeah.
shaking. You're just like, you're not thinking, because you're like, just don't put your foot down no matter what.
Dude, I would have loved it if
How
you just
many-
laid down the bike instead.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like literally like fall over like a,
Is that just 2 points? Is that just 2 points?
just 2 points.
Just 2
All
points.
right.
My foot didn't hit the ground.
Foot into the ground. My knee did.
My feet were in the air as I fell off my motorcycle.
I'm trapped beneath it right now,
bike
but my
crushed my
foot
leg.
is
but look at my feet. They're off the ground.
interesting because my feet aren't touching. So it's weird that I am failing.
Shattered my femur, but I still passed.
My feet are trapped under my motorcycle, but they're technically not on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like,
My bones are keeping them off the ground.
yeah, there was and I passed after one thing, but it was, you had to walk up at the end, and the person's like, "All right, so," and then as they're
read
flipping
your
through your
infractions.
paper, it was just like, "And you passed," and I'm like, "Oh, just say it like right away."
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh my
Totally.
gosh.
That's so rough.
Let's do a quick recap of part
Yeah.
3. I jotted down some notes.
So we come back in after the Ren and Stimpy scene. We get a really good 2001 Space Odyssey
Yeah.
reference right there.
Yeah. And then Christian comes over and watches
Yep.
movies, and there's a little montage of her getting ready for the movies and looking as cute as possible. She doesn't trust mirrors; she only takes Polaroids.
Which I think
Super
is awesome.
cool.
Super
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
I saw in an internet article that those Polaroids are out there somewhere. Like someone has
No
them. Yeah.
way. Like from set?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then there is the car scene, the funny car scene where Celine's boyfriend, I forgot his name in the movie.
Donald Faison. Let me look at it. It's,
tell like clues.
wait,
Sharon
did you call her
Celine.
Celine?
Isn't that her name?
Her name's Dion, isn't it?
Oh, Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
I just remember that they're
I love
named
that.
after singers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Cher, Celine Dion. Yeah. She's Dion and Murray. Murray is
All right,
Donald
so
Faison.
Murray lets them know that Christian is gay.
Yes.
And then there's like that really funny car scene where they go on the highway and like the motorcyclist
So
and the
good.
car and the old lady like hanging out the window flicking them off.
Yep.
Such a great scene.
Yeah, great scene.
The next scene, they're at the mall, and Ty has her brush with death, which is like, that's like literally insane what happens.
Yeah.
That would have made national. If that happened now, that would be national news.
Holding someone over, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's insane that happened.
Terrifying.
I thought they were gonna drop her and she was gonna die, and that's like where the movie was going.
Well, when she was sitting on there, I was like, what happens here? Because I was like, why are you sitting there? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a truly insane thing to happen.
Also love that Christian stood up so hard there, and like pushed the guys off.
Christian's awesome.
Yeah, he's
I'm a
great.
huge Christian guy.
Yeah.
And then Ty becomes the most popular person at school. Cher gets a little bit jealous. She falls further into despair when she fails her driving test, and then falls the farthest into despair when Ty burns all of Elton's memorabilia and confesses her love for Josh. So Cher decides to have a makeover of the soul. There's like a great montage of her helping and donating her skis to Bosnia and stuff like that. And then ends with her messing up the law case, Josh defending her, and then falling in love.
Yeah.
She gets the boy.
She gets the boy. She gets Rudd. Rudd on-screen debut. Just gets to French kiss Alicia Silverstone.
Not a bad on-screen debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, very solid.
To go from that
very
to
solid
being
first
Ant-Man,
showing.
that's a pretty good good arc in your career.
Yeah. He's done great for himself.
Yeah, he's done pretty well.
It's crazy how
and I know it's memed, like I get it, but he
Yeah.
truly does not look like he's aged a day.
Yeah. I
No,
mean, this
he's-
is his first on-screen thing, and he looks
The
the
exact
same or better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard he's a incredibly nice guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've heard
I
the
love
same.
that. There's nothing that makes me happier when like actors I like are verified nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the actor they were talking about in this movie the whole time, Mel Gibson.
Incredibly nice.
It is funny how they mention him like 4 or 5 times, and it's funny how it's 95, so he was like the superstar of the moment.
Yeah.
So much that it's like they just mention him a lot as like the guy.
It's kind of like someone mentioning, I'm trying to think who that would be now. Like I want to say
Timothy Chalamet. Could
Yeah.
you imagine what?
I mean-
could you imagine a phone call and Timothy Chalamet cursing out his
Yeah.
his wife?
I was about to say Rude Little Pig, but Rude Little Pig was Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They mentioned him too.
They mentioned Baldwin. She says he's kind of
Yeah.
a Baldwin.
Who are like the hot guys now? Like he's one of them, right?
I mean, if you're
Yeah,
gonna
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet.
Who's the guy that plays Spider-Man?
Chalamaniac.
Tom Holland.
Tom
People are really
Holland.
into Tom
Tom
Holland right now.
Yeah, and then people like The Rock and Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum's like I know he's like been around for a few years.
I feel like high school girls aren't swooning over The Rock right now.
Well, they don't swoon over Mel. Do they
Yeah.
swoon
Yeah,
over him?
that's exactly what
Yeah,
she
but-
was like. She like.
Well, this is
like,
95. He would have been around for like 15 years by this point.
Yeah,
he,
that's
he
fair.
directed Braveheart, so he's not in 95 like the young Hollywood person would have been like Tom Cruise.
She says she has
Or-
a crush on Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
Yeah. I feel like Tom Cruise now. Tom Cruise is kind of eternal, but
Yeah.
like I feel like he would be if you're just talking about like some super famous Hollywood star. It's like Tom Cruise kind of always works.
Cruise is eternal. The Christian thing I thought was really cool. Also, it's funny because Spartacus. I remembered them showing a different scene in my head, but Spartacus is funny because it's just all shirtless men,
Yeah.
What scene did you remember them showing?
just showing them like in battle like shirtless.
Oh, okay.
What was the other movie he brought over? He brought over
Something Like It
Spartacus.
Hot.
Something Like It Hot.
Which is Tony Curtis dressing
Yeah.
like a woman.
yeah.
All I know about is Spartacus the movie they reference in Airplane, where he's like, "Do you like gladiator movies?" You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
No, I think that's something else.
it'd probably be Spartacus.
Yeah, I've never seen Spartacus. We should do it for the pod.
we should.
Yeah.
We were talking about how I've never seen it.
Um,
I thought the Christian thing was cool because I thought, we talked about the slang in our last episode, and Murray, he says like he's a cake boy or cake man,
Cake Boy.
cake
Cake
boy.
boy.
And like at first, the way that comes out is like it's like he's a cake boy, and you're like, oh, it sounds. And we've talked about how like what people say the movie ages or whatever, like saying like he's a cake boy. It starts to kind of go down this road of like you're like, Murray and his friends just make fun of Christian.
Yeah.
But then it's more that it's like, no, he does this. And he's like, he's gay. And they're like, no, he's not. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, he is. But then it's more just of a thing of it's like, yeah, you can't date him. He's gay. And then they're just all friends with Christian.
They handled
it's
that
not
incredibly well.
handled it really well.
I feel like
Streisand ticket holder.
Yeah. If this were like Ace Ventura, like of the same era, like she would have been like plunging her face or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, he's just gay. He like, he dresses really well. He knows a lot about fine art.
And that was cool at the end.
Shout out to Klaus Oldenburg.
Klaus Oldenburg. They say in it when she's saying all her like good friends that she has, she's what'd she say about him? She's like, Christian loves making things beautiful.
He loves making things beautiful and like appreciates aesthetics or whatever, and also just like having a passionate outlook on life.
Yeah.
I'm a big Christian guy. He really he came around when he was just like the new boy who was dressing like that and had that like Rat Pack attitude. I was like, I don't know about this guy, but
No,
like
I thought he was
like
great.
understanding that was probably just an outlet for him.
Yeah.
Is like I love that character.
Yeah, totally. And I like that him and Cher just like became friends.
Yeah,
They talk
they
about
just go
shopping
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think this was in one of those articles too, but there's a lot of things that were like Dion and Murray's relationship. He's always calling her woman and stuff. I think it shows they end up with like a pretty like solid, great relationship.
Yeah, they go from virgins to like sex addicts really, really quick though.
They do go from virgins to sex addicts.
Sex addicts?
Well, I mean, like
Their technical virginity disappears.
Doesn't like Cher talk about that? Like how it's just like that one instance on the highway like caused them just to go sex crazy.
Well, I think because I think that they bonded so intensely over
and then
not
she's
dying.
like getting a bunch of like sex advice from Ty.
Oh yeah.
About
Talking
like
about
having sex
in
in
the
the pool.
water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about them. Of course, it's like
yeah.
those first few months, they're just going to be going to town.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny. We got to not read those dumb articles anymore. Like, what complaints would they have about that? It's like that's like they're like a bickering bad couple. Murray isn't bad. She's mean to him. They're like a great like Fred and Ethel yelling at each all the time.
Yeah.
Couple that
And also,
ultimately love each other. That's the thing. Like they ultimately love
I think
each
it's
other.
like tit for tat.
Yeah.
which is great.
Well, when she's having her come, like her soul redefining her soul, she like talks about how wonderful they are and how much they care about each other.
Yeah.
That's like quality. But I also think about that article where they're like, this movie doesn't age because they're bad drivers. And it's like, yeah, the consequence of her being a bad driver is she failed her driving test.
Yeah, that's the proof that they watched the first 10 minutes.
If it was really problematic, then they would have just shown them being bad drivers, like hurting people. But the character failed the test.
Yeah,
and
she
didn't get her
almost
license.
killed a cyclist,
Yeah.
and the guy fails her because of it.
And the change. I mean, that's like the change in her father, which her father doesn't change, but it's like he's mean, and then you see that he actually loves her and wants what's best for her.
Yeah,
and says, sitting there and says, like, let's talk about it. Let's argue our way out of it. And he's like, I don't want you with someone who, doesn't really love you.
How old is Josh?
that's what I was wondering because
Like talk about like if you want to examine in an article some real problematic stuff, like let's talk about Josh and Cher.
well, that was in one that was in another article that we didn't read. That I was scanning stuff that they were like the age difference of Josh and Cher. They're like Cher's like 15, 16 throughout the movie,
And if he's like
He's like maybe
not his first year of college,
he's like maybe 20.
He's like maybe 21, and her
brother.
Well, is
pseudo-brother.
it, what did they say what year of college he's in?
I mean, if he's in college enough to know that he like wants to be a lawyer, I imagine it's not first year.
If he's on spring break from college, and so even if he's a freshman, he's 18 at the youngest, but
18, 19, 20, 20 and 16.
huge problem.
yeah, big problem. I mean, you're
18 and 16, huge problem.
18 and 16 is not a big problem at all.
18 and 16. I thought about this when we
18 and
watched
16.
it.
How was 18 and 16 a problem?
I mean, isn't one of the person's a legal adult and the
Yeah,
other?
but then
here's-
you could
I
be
was
dating when you're
I was
you're
go ahead.
17 and 15, and then you turn those ages. So
then it becomes a problem.
I was 18 my senior year of
it's
high
not.
school, and I thought about this where I was like, I remember there was a girl who was a freshman that I was friends with who like started hitting on me, and I was like, oh, she's interested in me. And now I think back and I'm like, oh, once I turned 18, like it was beginning of senior year for me because I had a late birthday. But like that's where you get into a thing where it's like 18 and 16. Listen, I don't want the Bradshaw Boys to be the authority on the statutory issue, But I do think like when you have high school kids, like that's where there have been like cases and stuff, right? Where it was like, oh, these were two kids in high school that were dating and there was a thing and it gets murky. I think 18 and 17 in high school is a different case than a 20-year-old dating a 16-year-old. Like, I think that's two different cases.
It also, I mean, it is funny that she's like, it's California, it's not Kentucky, which is funny.
Yeah. Well, and that was also about the wedding too, because it was like we didn't just get married right away young. I thought that's what she meant, because she was like, as if like we didn't get married, it's not our wedding, it's California, not Kentucky.
I totally forget it being.
I forgot. You're like, it's California, not Kentucky, but you're still dating your brother.
Yeah.
Come on, Cher, wake up.
Come on, Cher. So I want to know who in Emma, who is Josh's character. That's what would be interesting.
Yeah.
If that's from that, or if it's like if they just made up. Yeah, I would like to see Emma, because I wonder if it's like, this person comes to town.
You brought up the Anna Taylor-Joy one that we should watch.
Yeah, it's supposed to be great. It came out like a year and a half ago, and then I heard an interview with the director who was really excited about it. And then it was playing at Nighthawk for a long time. Now it's on Hulu. It's a Hulu movie, so
yeah,
we definitely should.
We should watch that and do bonus pod.
Yeah,
because it would be interesting to see how close it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who directed it? It was the lady that did a bunch of music videos for a while. Oh yeah, she did Autumn to Wild.
Wait, what's the director's name?
Autumn to Wild.
Oh, Autumn to Wild.
She photographed
name.
CD covers for Miranda Cosgrove, Elliott Smith, The White Stripes, Fiona Apple, Beck, Wilco, and then she released a book about Elliott Smith. Then she started. Wow, she did all kinds of stuff. But this was her first movie. So she said she used like all of that energy.
What's the skateboarder's first name?
Travis.
Yeah. Do you know the only name better than Autumn to Wild? Travis Birkenstock.
Travis Birkenstock. Yes.
Travis
fun fact about Travis Birkenstock or his character
this.
Breckenmeyer. Did you see this?
Jamie Kennedy?
No.
Jamie Kennedy auditioned for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. The thing I saw was that in that scene where they have the skate competition, he had told in the audition, they were like, "Can you skate?" And he was like, "Yeah, I could skate," and like he could, but he like wasn't as good as he said he could be, and he had to kind of fake it, and he broke his foot in that scene.
Oh my gosh!
And so they said in the later scene, there's a scene later, maybe at the wedding, I guess. And he's like, there was a cast on my foot, but they framed it out because he broke his foot in the middle of the take.
What do you guys think about all the high school kids being at the wedding? Now I know Cher hooked the two of them up or like put flowers in her mailbox or whatnot, but like
I think it's kind of cool.
Totally.
I mean, you're in the world of you're in the world of the high school.
I mean, I know it works for the movie, but in real life, do you think like certainly?
Listen, John, Kevin and I think 30-year-olds can marry 11-year-olds, and I love high schoolers at a wedding. All right, that's where I stand. Okay.
And wasn't Cher a bridesmaid?
Yeah, as she should have been. She also should have been the priest. Okay.
It was hosted at Cher's house.
I know.
And
they got a lot of mileage out of that rental.
Dude, I mean, think about like
that's probably a lot of it too.
Why the fuck was Mr. Feeney hanging out with kids for 7 seasons of
because he was their next door neighbor.
Yeah, but it's like, you just keep it in the world.
Yeah, but sometimes Mr. Feeney's your next door neighbor. I mean, they didn't do any like they weren't.
I
right, wasn't he?
I think it shows. I think it shows that Alicia Silverstone, Cher is just like. She's probably the one that is pushing them to get married. They didn't have time to show all those scenes of her just being like, when are you guys going to lock it down? And Wallace Shawn's like, oh, I don't know.
Dude, Wallace Shawn's tuxedo is like it's the tuxedo that it's the penguin back one.
Oh, yeah. With the tails?
So classic Wallace Shawn.
I wore one of those to one of the proms that I went to. You know when you're like a high school kid who like is trying to be quirky and funny, but also doesn't really understand what any sort of fashion is?
You dress like Wallace Shawn.
Yeah, I dressed like Wallace Shawn. I had this like crazy tails jacket at prom. It was so stupid.
Awesome. We need to get a picture of that.
We'll put it up on the Patreon.
All right, listen to what I found.
Let's hear it.
So Emma settles on Harriet Smith, a younger girl who Emma supposes is the unclaimed child of a gentleman. So Harriet Smith in Emma is Ty. Right? Harriet's parents are unknown, but her education was provided by Emma. Emma learns that Mr. Robert Martin, a tenant farmer of the brother of Emma's brother-in-law, Mr. Knightley. So Mr. Knightley, I think, is Paul Rudd. So it is her brother-in-law in Emma.
Mm.
Unless I'm reading that wrong.
Who plays Travis Birkenstock in Emma?
William Cobblefoot.
What's the message of this movie? What's the
The message is that you need to get your own soul right in order to have a positive impact on the world. If you are doing good things for the world for selfish intentions, it's going to catch up to you. But if you do things for the right intentions to make the world truly a better place, then you will find inner peace. That's my takeaway.
Do you think so? It's like a spiritual inventory kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, her attempt to, like, on paper, the things she was doing was really noble. She was getting the teachers together.
Yeah,
she was trying to help Ty out, but she was doing those things for herself, not because she truly cared about Ty or her teachers.
Which is why at the end she ends up doing the relief thing,
right?
Which actually, her giving away a lot of her clothes is a huge thing.
Yeah,
that's like an actual sacrifice to her. Is like going through her closet,
and that's when that's why the seeing Ty become more popular than her is like what really hurt her really deeply, because it wasn't something that fulfilled her. She thought it would, but it didn't.
Yeah, because she succeeded with
exactly.
Ty, and then all of a sudden she didn't like it.
Yeah, because her goal wasn't to make Ty more popular; it was to make herself feel better.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. It is funny in a superficial way. It is funny to watch that like slight shift of her being like, and I think that's true, because when everything's going right, it's easy to be happy.
Totally.
And then all of a sudden, when like small little things get taken away, that for whatever your weakness is, to actually be exposed of like what you're actually about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, John, good job.
Good job,
Well,
man.
I mean, there could be other themes in there as well.
I think the other theme is like people that are bickering and go through an emotionally traumatic event.
Fuck.
Yeah, that makes you horny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not a theme, that's a moment, but I took it more of as a theme.
Yeah. Bad driving
yeah.
will really draw you together.
Also, she needs to maybe read some baking lessons on how to make cookies.
Did you notice anything about that scene? She puts cookies in the oven for when Christian comes over,
right.
And then they're burning.
Yeah.
And then she goes and sees they're burning, and then she never turns the oven off.
Oh.
She just goes back into the room. I just noticed that. I was
They
like,
just kept burning.
You're gonna need to turn that oven
Man,
off.
how like movies' kitchens get so smoky, but if there's a hint of smoke in my kitchen, like 15 fire alarms go off and wake everyone up.
Yeah.
It's like,
I also wonder. Wait, do you have a hood over your stove?
no.
That's a New York thing. Like I have had.
You do have a hood?
I don't, and
I do.
But
I never turn it on though.
I think it's a half and half thing there. I don't think I've ever lived in a place before where more people just didn't have a hood. Like I would say most other apartments have had in other places. It's just a normal thing. That
Where does your
with
hood
it.
go? Just into the wall? It certainly doesn't have something up to your ceiling, does it?
Do you know where places there that no one has a hood? Europe. Now that is a hoodless place.
They also don't have smoke detectors either, so it's whatever.
I was making a circumcision joke.
Bro.
Nice. That's funny because I didn't really.
So they have hoods.
They do have hoods.
You said it was a hoodless
You
place.
said it's a hoodless place.
They have
Oh
hoods.
shit!
You fucked up the circumcision joke.
America is a hoodless.
Yeah,
America's a hoodless land.
Damn it!
Yeah.
No hoods.
Fucking shit.
End the pod.
I don't have a hood, so I
Hey,
forgot to explain.
Who's
the joke.
clueless now? I didn't realize how many times they said clueless in this movie.
Yeah.
But they multiple times. She's like, Ty was so clueless. Like they say it.
I
Constantly.
wonder how they landed on that as the name and the
know.
thing. If in the book, if it maybe doesn't say, maybe it says clueless, but even if it doesn't say clueless, if it says like if that is part of the themes that Jane Austen keeps on going back to, like I was oblivious or I was whatever, because it kind of works. It totally works.
I think in order for someone to be clueless, they kind of have to think one thing about themselves very strongly. And like you can't be ambivalent and clueless. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't think it works nearly as well.
Yeah.
You need someone who is very confident in what they're doing and who they are to truly be clueless. And so like she is very confident in who she is. She knows herself incredibly well.
Yeah.
She like knows like she's good at matchmaking. She's like good at reading people and understanding people, but she truly was clueless as to her intentions and how her successes would make her feel. And so I think it's like a really great title for this movie and a description of who and what she actually was.
Like you're kind of unaware. When you're clueless, you're sort of unaware to what's actually happening.
You're not only unaware, but you're confidently wrong in the other direction. You know?
Well, this also, it's like if you don't take care of those things. I just watched another old adaptation yesterday of what the good thing about a lot of these old movies and old books are that they are able to deal with like very obvious grand themes that I think a lot of newer movies and stories you don't have to, because it's like that's been done.
Yeah.
But I watched Cyrano de Bergerac, and it's all about like, oh, he chose his pride, and so he forewent love. And this is one of those things. It's a comedy, so it's not dealt with in the tragic way. But it's like if you don't deal with those inner things in your life, like she's going to thankfully share deals with it, or else she'd have some fucking problems in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
So she has a clue now.
Let's go around and say what we thought of the movie. Let's do 1 to 5 stars. I'll go first. 5. This movie freaking rips.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I'm gonna say, I'll just say 5 for now. But I it's different than most things, but it definitely holds up. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Fucking knocked the comedy out of the park. There wasn't a joke that didn't land. Like
Totally.
it was awesome.
Totally. 5. There's other movies. I said it in one of the earlier Clueless episodes, but there's a lot of other movies that I've been like, oh, I love that movie, and I go back and rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
This one always is that, and even there's like the physical comedy works in it.
Totally.
Like it's like so many broad things of it really work.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable.
And
it was great.
I would say also, almost without a single exception, almost every single character you could say how they changed, and that's even the one like comic skateboarder side character. It's like
you mean Travis Birkenstock?
Travis Birkenstock goes to AA and like achieves things, and even like a small comic relief character has a lot of depth.
Yeah.
He realized that drugs are affecting his life.
He goes to 12-step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like there's some depth even in a comedic way. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us in this Clueless adventure.
what did you think? Let us know in the comments. Tell us, your patrons, we're doing this for you. You choose the next movie.
Yep.
What'd you like? What you didn't like about this format and this experience?
Later, taters.
Later, taters.